Raisi K, the Raisin Man.
Yo, what's good, everyone? Welcome to week 17 of the New York Jets season, coming out of the worst win in New York Jets history on a short week versus the Cleveland Browns with Joe Flacco at the helm. I mean, talk about hell for the New York Jets, man. This is hell. This is rock bottom for the New York Jets. And it sucks to say that after such a big win where Greg the Leg had a huge game, where Brownlee got his first touchdown, where Brees Hall is setting records for what he's doing on the field, right? It
Yeah.
sucks. It sucks that that's all coming in the worst win in New York Jets history. Where Greg, we put up 17 points in the first quarter, more than they've had all season long. Sure, thanks to special teams. Sure, thanks to the defense once again, but we still actually had to put it together on the offense, not just score a field goal,
True.
right? Which hasn't happened all season when we were put in those spots. And then, the Commanders came back. And so we were, especially in the span of like 7 seconds, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we could put this away. The Jets had a chance to put this game away at 4th and 20, right? Just go for it on 4th and 20. And it looks like, you went for it. It doesn't look like you tanked. You had a good game. You lost by 1. Everything's good to go. Instead, we punt it, stop them on defense, come back, have a miraculous Greg the Leg hits it 54 yards. And now, Greg, the Washington Commanders, with their new ownership, who are now starting Jacoby Brissett this week, are going to be drafting 4th at the moment. And the New York Jets are going to be drafting 9th at the moment. And the difference between 4th and 9th, as it stands right now, is that tackle that you've been crying about. Not you, Greg, but just general. Like that quarterback that you want to put down, that wide receiver, Marvin Harrison, that you want to pair up with his Ohio State boy and Garrett Wilson. Like, that's it. Like, I'm sorry, Greg, I don't agree with you where you were mad about the Texans because we still had a chance, even though it was slim. Like, there was a chance to keep going, right? It made Miami game count. The Jets didn't think that. The Jets didn't show up versus Miami, but we showed up. We sure showed up versus the Commanders when it stopped counting. I mean, the Jets jetted it up all over the place on Christmas Eve. Terrible win. I don't care what you say about me. Oh, I'm not a Jets fan. I'm not a Jets fan. Let's have that conversation at a different time. But like, that was the stupidest win. It was worse than the win versus the Rams because we were winless, right? And then we ended up losing Trevor Lawrence to Zach Wilson. Like, that win sucks for us in the long run, right? And this was, in my opinion, unhandily the worst win in Jets history.
I'm with you. I agree with you on everything you're saying. I mean, where we disagree, obviously, is the game against Houston. I mean, technically, mathematically, yeah, sure, we're still alive. We had absolutely zero chance at making the playoffs if you ask anyone with a brain. I know that mathematically there was still a chance, but it was never going to happen. If we lost that game to Houston, if we lost that game to Washington, John, we would be picking 3rd right now. We would be ahead of New England because New England beat us head to head. We would have our pick of the litter because the first two picks are going to be quarterback. It is going to be Caleb Williams. It is going to be Drake May. And it's also not out of the realm of possibility that Arizona and the Panthers both win a game coming up in the next week or two. There's obviously 2 weeks left of the season. Carolina has Tampa Bay. Carolina is at home. Last week of the season, Tampa Bay could be resting people. They could have the division locked up. Carolina at home in front of their fans, all 16 of them, trying to get a win, look good, put on a show, win the last meaningless game of the season. Arizona at home against the Seahawks, who could have a playoff spot locked up, have a wild card spot locked up by week 17.
Carolina could be
Arizona could win
Jacksonville
a
this
game.
week.
And they're playing Jacksonville this week, who was reeling. So Arizona could win 2 games.
No, that's
So
Carolina.
this is my statement to all Jets fans out there. Keep that same energy week 17 against New England when we're fighting and we're playing New England. And if we win that game, New England gets the first overall pick and Caleb Williams. You have to live with that for the next 20 years. Why would we lose? Why would we try to lose? What does that say about the locker room? What does that say about the culture? Shut the fuck up. You're an idiot. You're so stupid. You're so dumb. You sound like a child. What would Garrett Wilson think if all of a sudden the Jets organization starts losing games? Garrett Wilson's a grown man. Garrett Wilson wants to win. Garrett Wilson doesn't want the 10th pick season after season after season of just mediocrity. He wants a game-changing companion to play with in Marvin Harrison Jr. or Joe Alt to block or the kid out of Penn State that I can't pronounce his name. He wants someone like that to make an impact on this offense so they can win football games. They're not stupid. They know that this season is over. They know that winning means absolutely nothing. What about the culture? Shut up. You sound like an idiot if you're a Jets content creator on Twitter or on YouTube talking like that. You need a better pick because that's the only way to change your team besides free agency. You need a better pick. We could have literally the first overall pick if Arizona and Carolina win a couple games here at the end of the season when people are starting their or benching their starters. I can't believe it that we beat Houston and we beat this Washington team this week. It was such a dumb loss. It was such a dumb win. I mean, it was so stupid. And there was a chance. There was a glimmer, John. All of a sudden, we're up 3 scores, and Washington just marching down the field. Jacoby Brissett's in there. He doesn't care about records. He doesn't care about the future of the Washington Commanders because he's going to a new team next year. I hope it's the Jets. He looked good. He's throwing dimes left and right. All of a sudden, they're up. We're losing. We did it. We looked great. Breece Hall had 95 receiving, 95 rushing. He's tying, records with Barry Sanders and all his people. He's the best running back in the whole entire world. Absolutely great pick by Joe Douglas, but half the fans want to get rid of Joe Douglas. Okay, fine, whatever. We did it. We figured it out, and then we just jet our way into a Jets win that means absolutely nothing. To your point, I agree with. It's one of the worst losses I can remember in recent history. It is a terrible win. Sorry, a terrible win for us. I was going to say the Trevor Lawrence thing, but to your point, we would have been 0 whatever going into after that game. So this really is, I think, the worst win we've had maybe in our lifetime. And it's only going to get worse. We're going to beat New England last week of the season. We're going to be frisky against the Browns for some reason, even though there should absolutely be no way we're in this game against the Browns on Thursday night. And it's just the Jet way, baby. The 12th pick. I said it 3 weeks ago. We were going to have the 12th pick for perpetuity. That's all we do.
Oh, my God.
12th pick. That's all we do.
I feel like, honestly, we live in the 6th pick land. If I'm being honest with you, I feel like the Jets are always the 6th pick in the draft, and there's always 5 players. That's always how it is.
That's true. All I know is that wherever we pick, there's a cutoff right before we go.
This year, it's honestly 6th again. It really is 6th because Jaden Daniels looks like he might be up there with the other 2 quarterbacks, and then you throw in maybe Marvin Harrison and the 2
tackles.
So now that rounds it up at 6. So if you're out of 6, that means like maybe we'll be 7 this year. But at this point, Greg, it's so funny watching you because you're as heated as I was about the playoffs. You're like, we were so close. We were right there. We could have had it in these games. And you're talking about the opposite way.
Yeah.
And the truth is, we still have a shot at a top 4 pick. Like it is still alive right here.
Yeah,
right?
we need some help again. We always need help because we keep doing the wrong thing.
We always need help. We need New England, the Giants, the Chargers, the Titans, and the Bears this week. It's really not out of the realm of possibilities. I'm being honest with you. All those games are actually possible. But it all starts with the Jets losing, right? It's the exact conversation, but opposite. Right? It's like say the same thing. And it's always about the Jets winning first, and the Jets never win. And it's all about the Jets losing, and the Jets now are winning games. It really hurts to watch. But okay, anyway, Greg, let me ask you this: say, just really quick. I know we're mad right now, but let's just say we end up. Let's give us like the 8th pick.
Sure.
Let's say a couple things move around here. We're 9th right now. Chicago wins, whatever. We get the 8th pick. So we're out of the tackles. There's no more Marvin Harrison. The 3 quarterbacks are gone. Just like real quick off the top of your head, are you taking like the tight end, Brock Bowers out of Georgia? Are you taking the wide receivers, Nabbers or Odunze from Washington? Or are you trading down? Like, it's such a disaster there. Like, what do you? I mean, obviously the answer is always trade down, get more assets because everyone always wants to do that. But really, like, what's your answer there? We can't take defensive end. Don't even say Jared Verse. Like, what's the play? It
That would be
sucks that we're
nice.
talking about this, right? It really is a disaster if we're at 9. Like, we have to move up in the draft because I'm looking at it right now.
I
I
see
don't
a
know what to
couple
do.
guys in that 9 to 13 range, other tackles that are pretty good. Like, you just have to draft an offensive lineman. I don't want Brock Bowers, even though he would be nice. Brock Bowers to me is a luxury pick. Like,
He might be another
tr-
offensive lineman though. He might just be like
he's not. He's not. He doesn't block anyone.
Brock Bowers blocks, man. Brock
He
Bowers
blocks
blocks.
little college kids. He doesn't
What if you
block
got Sam
grown
Laporta?
men.
What if it was Sam Laporta at that? What if it's what you know about Sam Laporta at the 9th pick? Like, would you take him?
I still think it's tough. Like,
Yeah.
like yes. Now that I know Sam Laporta
Yeah. Like Sam
is
Laporta himself.
phenomenal,
Yeah, like would you take him, or is that still a luxury? Because it is technically still a luxury, right?
it
Like
still
it
is a
is.
luxury. Like
Yeah.
Detroit has an incredible offensive
Yes.
line, so they can afford the luxury. It's not only just a luxury for them. He's like what, a 3rd round pick, right? It
Mhm.
wasn't even
So
a first
it's
round pick.
yeah, I know he was in the first round. I'm just saying
Yeah.
like that's what I'm saying he's having
Yeah,
the best tight end rookie
Brock
season
Bowers should
ever.
go to a team that has an established offensive line. Like he's going to go to
Okay.
Kansas City, and then
Yeah.
it's going to be like he's going to be the next Travis Kelce for the next 15 years.
Sure. I got what you're saying. So what would you do here, like in this doomsday scenario?
Offensive line, like you have to trade around, you have to finagle it, you have to reach, whatever it is, you have to take an offensive lineman.
But you know what the board looks like. What are you going to take? The kid from Oregon State? You going to reach for him?
I mean, I see on
Kid from
mock drafts,
Bama?
I'm looking at 3 of them right now that they have him mocked anywhere from 13th to 8th.
Who, like the
This
kid
kid
from
out of
Bama,
Alabama,
JC Latham?
JC Latham out of Alabama. Alabama's been pretty good. I see him mocked anywhere from 7th to 11th. Like, there's options out there. You have to take an offensive lineman. It's like saying it's like our car is sitting in the driveway with no tires, and you're like, should we get a transmission? Like what? Like, no, we should get some tires. Like, what are we talking about? Like, I don't know, dude. I think it could use a coat of paint. Yeah, it could also use tires. Like, we need an offensive line to play football in the NFL. I don't think I'm
I
saying
agree.
anything too crazy.
I'm just saying once we fall out of really the top 6 here, we're in officially in disaster land. That happened last year. We didn't talk about that. The loss that we no longer we got out of the Broderick Jones. We ended up switching out with New England because we traded that pick to Green Bay, and that screwed us for last year. We would have had a right tackle this year. Everything
Yeah.
would have been different if we had Broderick
I think
Jones.
he's playing pretty well too.
He's playing great.
Yeah.
He's playing fantastic. So I mean, it really sucks. This is where we are, but it is what it is. Spread is 7.5 in this game. I have Myles Garrett to get a sack at -120. He's definitely gonna get a sack against the Jets. I wish I could take them to get 3 sacks if there's like a crazy one somewhere, like an alternative sack stat. I would take that if you could find it. The over-under is like 34. I think it's gonna go over that for some reason, but who knows? I think Ripon is gonna get in there second half of the Jets. We'll see. Maybe 13. Maybe 16-3 Browns. 16-6 Browns.
Yeah, I like the under 2. I think it's going to be like closer to 23-6. I don't think the Jets score a touchdown. I think the Brees Hall thing is like 1 week on, 1 week off.
Just stay
I think this
healthy.
week is off. Yeah, just stay healthy, everyone.
Brees.
Please, for the love of God.
Brees and Garrett, please.
Yeah.
please.
Keep feeding him here and there. Like, yeah, I just don't think he's gonna have 95 yards rushing, 95 receiving, and a bunch of touchdowns. Like, I think he's gonna have a decent game. Garrett Wilson, keep trying to get him to that 1,000-yard mark. Keep trucking along.
Yeah, he wants it.
Do his thing. I don't see Cleveland having the offensive explosion like they had last week with Amari Cooper. Like, everyone, again, people have been talking about, like, oh, Tariq Woolen's better than Sauce Gardner. Tariq Woolen's better
I
than
don't think
Sauce
anyone
Gardner.
said that this year, man.
He's a
He's
healthy
getting
scratch.
benched.
He's going to be out of the league in 2 years. He absolutely sucks. If you tweeted that at any point, you literally don't have eyes. If you have eyes, you don't have a brain. You're just the dumbest person walking the face of the earth. The second dumbest people are people that said we should take Derek Stingley. Derek Stingley stinks. He sucks. He's terrible.
Whoa.
That Houston defense got absolutely
Stingley's good
torched.
though. Yeah, so what? So
Stingley
the Jets got
sucks. He
torched
allowed
too.
300 yards to Amari Cooper.
Listen, man. The
He
Jets do the same
sucked.
thing with wide receivers, and they say, "Oh, it's because DJ Reed was on him."
DJ Reed is not letting people get franchise touchdowns. DJ Reed is allowing a 60-yard touchdown every 10 weeks. 300 yards, John. He was close to tying some dude that I've never heard of from 1965 for the all-time league record. You're telling me Derek Stingley's good. Derek Stingley sucks. Tariq Woolen sucks. Sauce Gardner is the best defensive back we will see play football in our lifetime. And he's a Jet because of Joe Douglas. That's it. Full stop. Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas, Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner is so unbelievably good. The fact that we even have to talk about voting for him for the Pro Bowl is a waste of breath. He's the best player on the field every time he steps onto the field. The only time
He's
there's a
1A.
better player on the field is when Aaron Rodgers steps onto the field.
He's
Is
1A.
the best.
I can tell Becky Hammond he's 1A.
He's 1A. He's 1A, double A,
Brees Hall
triple
1A?
A.
Brees Hall
Grade
1A.
5.
Is Brees Hall-
He's the real deal. He's Sauce Gardner. The dude is sauce. It's just what it is. Stop talking about it. Tyreek Woolen, who? The guy that doesn't play anymore? Jamal Adams, who? The guy that doesn't play anymore? Yikes.
It's so funny though, because if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, you'd be like, "All right, bro, sounds good. Look at the Russell Wilson trade. Like that Jamal Adams trade is just a blink in the road because they made it back from the Russell
Joe
Wilson
Douglas
trade.
should be
They
fired.
don't
Joe
care.
Douglas literally kicked in the door of the Seattle front office and robbed them blind.
Yes, sure, but as you say, the offensive line sucks. That's on him. Not having a quarterback this year, on him.
Yep.
I can't go through another year with no offensive line. I can't go through another year of picking 6 through 12. It's miserable here. It's miserable being here, man.
It's Groundhog's Day.
crazy.
It's literally this. We've done this podcast now for 3 years. I think you've done it maybe for 4 years. It's literally the same thing every single Sunday, every week. It's like we're up to like 100-something episodes, 200 episodes of just Jets. And it's the same thing every time. Our offensive line stinks, our quarterback blows. It's like, all right, cool.
Throw it against a tight end. Running back out of the
Can't cover
backfield.
right back out of the backfield. Our linebackers are good. We've improved in that. It took 4 years, John, but we have good linebackers now.
They have improved. Quincy has improved. Speaking of tight ends, though, Zach Kuntz active this week, making his debut.
Baby. 10 raw score. Get it going.
I want him. See, like if he gets a tutty, I'm hyped. Like I really am happy that Brownlee did well. I'm happy that Gibson has been getting some reps in here because we're gonna need them. Like if we're complaining about Randall Cobb,
then
Alan Gibson
Lazard,
has to be a real player.
Seen.
What's up?
Alan Lazard, nowhere to be seen ever.
Dude, Lazard. My God, this guy, he better be the best wide receiver I've ever seen. When Aaron Rodgers comes back.
When Aaron
Rodgers comes back, this guy better be dropping 5 catches, 100 yards, 2 tutties every game. Otherwise, I don't want to see his face. I don't want to see his face.
It will never happen. It was a figment of Jets Twitter's imagination that Alan Lazard can play football at a high level. It's a 4-year, $44 million deal. Real wide receivers make that in 1 or 2 years. He stinks. He makes $11 million a year. Like real wide receivers make that in a month.
Last thing I want to talk about real quick. I just remembered. This Dwayne Brown IR debacle. Everyone's
Yeah.
making fun of Aaron Rodgers for getting a spot back, and then like we went, so deep into the fullback and Nick Big Booty Bowden, as Pat McAfee calls him, and we know that he's vested and he had his money already. He was cool with it. We got so in depth, and no one's talking about Dwayne Brown.
Yeah.
Like, not only Dwayne Brown did we pay him for the worst tenure I've ever seen at left tackle. Him and Ryan Kalil are laughing at the bank somewhere.
It's the handshake meme, the two of them just laughing all the way to the bank.
Like, that's why Joe Douglas sucks. Like, I love Joe Douglas, but like, that's the argument. That's
Dude.
Get a couple bad drafts, amazing draft in between, but this is why this Dwayne Brown debacle is on him. Like, who is this guy? Comes back from IR for 7. This guy's been on the roster for like 19 weeks and he's played like 4 times. Like, that's the ratio I see. And we've lost the percentage of games that he's played to being active on the roster since we signed him and how much money he got relative to wins and losses. He might be the worst net player the Jets have had in the last 15 years. Maybe. Seriously.
Yes and no. So this is
Maybe
what,
Carl Lawson in there too.
Yeah, this is what grinds my gears about the sentence. Like this is why Joe Douglas sucks. This is why I hate talking or listening to people on Twitter talk about the Jets, because they have no idea what they're saying. Not to say that you don't, but this is my point to it, and I want to know what you think about it. Joe Douglas swings and misses, and he swings and misses bad sometimes. But Joe Douglas not only gets hits, he hits home runs. He hits grand slams. He hits doubles. He hits triples. He's the only general manager I have ever had as a Jets fan in 30 years of walking this planet Earth who has multiple Pro Bowl picks under his belt that I can remember. He's the only one.
Here's the best way I'll compare it. I'll give you a comparison, Greg. He is the worst baseball franchise. What's the worst baseball franchise? The A's?
The Royals?
He is no, because the Orioles were good this year. So let's call it the A's, right? Let's call it the A's of what you think that they play on the baseball, like on the football field. Like, let's just, like whatever they have, and they have no hitting, and all of a sudden they get Adam Dunn in his prime. All right, Adam Dunn in his prime, where every swing is either a mash home run or the worst strikeout you've ever seen. Like, not even close. Like, dude, what are you even swinging at? Like, that's what Joe Douglas is. And so we've never had anybody that hits home runs at all. So I agree with you. In the last 10 years, we haven't had an Adam Dunn on this team, right? So he's our Adam Dunn. He's hitting these home runs. However, Greg, the strikeouts look so bad. We're just like, oh, it's okay. He has some home runs, so it's okay. He's allowed to strike out like that. And we're not being objective about it. Because, like,
but what do you want?
For example,
this is like where the fan fiction childish stuff comes in.
We had one good draft. Like, the rest of the drafts were horrible. Like, even like, think about drafting Pinnock, letting him go in his rookie deal, and him starting at safety, almost like getting Pro Bowl votes on the Giants. Like,
he's not getting Pro Bowl votes, dude.
He was at some point. He was getting a Player of the Week. It was a debacle. And we've had no continuity from draft to draft. We had one good draft, like 1.5. I love Joe Douglas, honestly, but that's what the criticism is fair. Like, punting on this season is fair. Like, I'll give you another quick example here, and maybe this is some Knicks talk.
Wait, what was his first draft? Was that Q Will or was that the Mekhi Becton? Mekhi Becton was his first draft.
Becton,
right?
like that was a swing and a miss. Could have had Worf, like right there. We chose Becton because he was bigger. You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to be the O-line guy. Like, that's a whiff. You know that he took an Adam Dunn swing and you missed, because we could have got the other guy. He would have been our left tackle forever. This guy wasn't. He was for a little bit, and he just got injured. Like, you knew about that.
Yeah, like, to me, that's like a single or a double. Like, Mekhi Becton had no injury history going into the draft, and he just happened to break his kneecap. Like, that's not like a whiff. Like, he hit the ball and made contact. Mekhi Becton was incredible his rookie year, and he just hasn't been able to get healthy.
But other than that, there's nobody really left in those drafts, dude. Look at them.
But that's just not true. I mean, the next draft is Elijah Vera Tucker and Michael Carter. Michael Carter might be having one of the best seasons someone's had in a long time. So, I mean, again, that's 2 guys there. Elijah Vera Tucker, again, injury lots. Like, is Elijah Vera Tucker a home run? Like, I don't know. He is when
I
he's
don't
healthy,
know.
but I would say he's like a single or a double. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I love him. He's my favorite player. I still love him, but I don't know if he's a miss at
right.
this point.
So, for me, there's 2 guys in the first draft, I think I said, right? Or no, maybe just
In the
one.
Becton draft? Who do you have? Who do you have coming out of there?
Becton's the only one, and he's a single at best. So, the
Okay.
Becton draft, his first draft wasn't great. The second draft, Elijah Vera Tucker, Michael Carter. I like both those guys. Zach Wilson obviously is not panning out, but I still don't think it's like
That's
the
a
most
Trevor Lawrence
egregious thing.
loss.
No quarterback was good in that draft. I still don't know if Trevor Lawrence is good in that draft.
I would definitely take him over Zach, but yeah.
What has he done? He's
Win
won one
games,
playoff
score
game.
touchdowns. Yeah.
I don't
Made
know,
to the
dude. I
playoffs.
think like if you look at like blind resume wise, I don't think he's like I think he might have more receptions. Like it's close. And then after the Zach Wilson draft is just the best draft that we have ever had, maybe any franchise has ever had in the history
Yeah.
of the NFL.
Yeah.
So to say like he's like hasn't had any good drafts or
But
he's missed
since
on all
then-
these drafts, like
Since then.
since when what?
Yeah, since that draft, since the Sauce Gardner draft.
He's had 4 drafts. Every draft, besides his first draft, every draft has had good pieces in it. That are all like Michael Carter might be a Pro Bowler this season. You're talking about Pennock. I've never heard of Pennock getting nominated for Pro Bowl or being Pro Bowl eligible for voting.
Well,
Michael Carter
because he was getting
definitely is.
Defensive Player of the Week he got like 2 of them, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a nice award here and there. So did Tommy DeVito got Offensive Player of the Week. Zach Wilson got Offensive Player of the Week. It's not a Pro Bowl vote. Like a Pro Bowl vote is.
I'm just saying he was looked at as like top safety for a little bit. He was killing it with the Giants last year, this year. He was up there.
Player. He's been a good player.
We cut him on a rookie
just
deal,
a different
bro.
level.
We cut him on a rookie deal. Like
Yeah.
we cut this guy. Like we lost money cutting this guy. Like we're still paying him money to play for the Giants, and in a position where we could use. That's a blunder. Like that's a blunder. Like paying Ryan Caleb to be center and not drafting Creed Humphrey. That's a blunder. Like that's horrible, bro. Like I can't forget those little things. Like
Yes,
I don't know.
there are mistakes, but again, the names I will list that I can remember as general manager from when I was really following the Jets: Mike McCannon, Izek, Tannenbaum.
Awful.
What home runs, what generational talents, what incredible players did they draft? Yeah, there was good Jet players. There's Jet players that I loved. There was like Nick Mangold and DeBrickashaw Ferguson. Those were great picks. Darrelle Revis, a great pick. Other than that, I'm sure there's others that I'm blanking on Jets fans that are listening right now, screaming at their TVs or at their phones or whatever it is.
Yeah, but like the Dustin Kelly even count? Yeah, like it's
Dude,
a toss up.
Joe Douglas is the best general manager we have had in our lifetime. Like there's entire drafts where we drafted absolutely nobody.
Yeah.
Like, do you want to talk about Calvin Pryor? Like, do you want to talk about Dean Milner? I remember watching that draft with you in your college dorm. I remember saying that's a terrible pick.
D. Milner, cornerback Bama. Today you'd be hyped about that.
Everyone was telling me. Everyone was like, "No, D. Milner's."
Today you'd be hyped about that. If we drafted the corner, not like a couple of years ago, we drafted the corner from Alabama. You'd be like, Alabama cornerback. Like I'm down with it.
Yeah, if we draft like Kool-Aid McKinstry this year, that's a miss. That's a problem. Like we don't need cool name. I know if you don't watch college football, you're not familiar with it. I'm not making it up. His name's Kool-Aid McKinstry. That's his name. Plays DB at Alabama. He's going to be on your TV in the Rose Bowl against Michigan. They'll be talking about him. So tune in, watch that. But no, like, dude,
we're going to be screwed if we don't have. We're going to be screwed if we don't have a top 6 pick, Greg. That's the conclusion of this. We're going to be screwed. We're going to be absolutely screwed. I don't know how else to say it.
We're not going to have a 6. We're not going to have a top 6 pick. We played our way out of it because we're beating Washington and we're beating Houston. It makes no sense to me, but we're doing it.
It's possible, man. It's possible. Just believe. Just believe. Yep. Let's root for Tennessee. Let's root for your boy Easton Stick and the Chargers. Let's root for the New York Giants this week with Tyrod Taylor. Let's root for the Bears.
New England. We need New England.
And New England, of course. But New England's 2 games away from the quote unquote playoffs for us right now.
True.
One game at a time. Let's just get out of the 9th seed. All right. That wraps it up. Next comment, Jets comment, ETC period on YouTube. You know what it is. Hit us up. We out. Season's almost over. It's almost draft season. Back to where we
Ooh.
belong. Back to where we belong, Greg.
I'm ready
JTS,
for
Jets. I'm born ready.